Hey everyone, I wanted to go over the new and exciting news that we have for Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, as the patch notes for version 13.0 have gone fully live on the official website. I'm going to be leaving a link in the description below for you guys to check them out for yourself. These are hefty patch notes. They have quite a lot of brand new changes that we need to go over. So in this video, I'm going to try to focus on just some of the more important ones, because if I actually went over every single patch notes, we're probably going to be here 50 minutes and nobody wants that. So pretty much starting right out of the gate, the game will be updating on November 24th. Of course, this will most likely be somewhere around 8 p.m. or 7 p.m. East Coast time, 5 or 4 p.m. West Coast time. So do keep that in mind. On the Nintendo Switch, we're looking at about 700 megabytes. On Steam, we're looking at about 1.5 gigs of memory space you are going to need. When it comes to new story elements and the main edition changes, they of course mentioned that brand new monsters have been added and they will appearing in the Gathering Hub quest. Of course, they're talking about Risen Teostra, Risen Kushala Daodra, and Chaotic Gore Magala. They mentioned that new afflicted monsters, of course, Risen Elders, have been added to the game. New quests have been added to the game. Of course, each one of these monsters comes with their prerequisite base quest, but also a couple of extra quests as well. They also mentioned that the cap for anomaly research level has been raised. We now know that 7-star anomaly investigation monsters will be appearing, and they also mentioned that the level cap for anomaly investigations has been raised. So that means, of course, anomaly investigations level 200. A level adjustment feature has been added to anomaly investigations. So this means, of course, we are now going to be able to toggle your favorite anomaly investigation quest and bring the level all the way down to whatever the lowest level for that monster is going to be. They mentioned that a wide variety of monsters now appear in anomaly investigations. We went over that 7-star anomaly investigation monsters, 6 of which are going to be added in. Flaming Espinas and stuff like that are going to be part of the brand new patch. New weapons, new armors, new layered equipments, and new skills have been added. We're going to be talking about the new skills because they do mention a couple of them here in the patch notes. A new level cap for armor upgrades has been raised. So of course, now you're going to be able to get higher defenses as well. This is just something that we didn't necessarily know, but it's nice that they actually went ahead and mentioned in the patch notes. They mentioned that curious weapon crafting now includes an option for upgrading gun lances shelling levels. Of course, this is the main weapon upgrade that we are seeing for curious crafting, specifically for gun lances. They mentioned that new skills have been added in the pool of potential skills available during curious armor crafting. Of course, this reveals the details that we went over just a few days ago regarding if you want to focus on defense, if you want to get focus on skills, you want to be able to focus on decorations or just normal RNG stuff, you're going to be able to get better curious crafting results based on some of the options available there. They mentioned that 2 armor augment types have been added. This is brand new information. They mentioned that curious armor crafting and a new melding type has been added, Melding Pot Aurora. This is brand new information. No one told us about this. Capcom would have been, helpful to tell us that a new melding option will be showcasing here. So we're just gonna have to wait and see how this one actually shakes out. What level items you actually are gonna get, and what better percentage results you're gonna get. I'm sure I'm gonna have to make a follow-up video specifically on this, since this one is relatively important. And of course, 2 augment types obviously is something that we have talked about before for curious crafting. They mentioned that new prices have been added to the Marcus Lottery. Remember last time in the second free title update, we got, I believe, the plushy little duck, and I forget what the other one was. So we got 2 little plushy figures that you could actually put in your home. Presumably they're going to add a couple more now. New trinkets and hanging scrolls have been added. Of course, hanging scrolls come along the fact that every time you hunt 10 monsters, you're going to get a brand new scroll. And new trinkets are, stuff that you also get for decorations. They mentioned that new system elements, followers can now accompany you into more types of quests. This is one of those added welcome additions that people have been requesting, and we finally get it. New options have been added for followers that allow you to customize their wyvern riding and use their behavior. These can be accessed under options and game setting. We went over that. You can now make them more aggressive or less aggressive. New guild card titles have been added, and I'm sure this is just the most important patch note everyone wanted to see, and I'm sure everyone's happy because of it. A new badge of heroes has been added as well. So of course, these are the display icons you get on the top of your character, telling you a little bit more about what you have done. When it comes to Steam, they do mention that new changes to the NVIDIA DLLA have been added. This is anti-aliasing. I did see some video. Someone was talking about how the DLSS on Sunbreak has been adjusted. So maybe this is officially them adding support for the brand new options. When it comes to bug fixes and balanced players adjustments, just about every single weapon has some sort of adjustments to some of the skills. Great Sword, they touched upon the True Charge slash attack. Sword and Shield, they adjusted the Destroyer Oil. Sword and Shield also got to see changes in Rising Slash and Round Slash. Dual Blades had Spiral Slash adjustments. When it comes to the Hammer, we did get to see that Dash Breaker also got touched. I'm not going to focus on every single one of these skills, like what are the official changes. Patch notes are going to be linked directly in the link description below for you guys to check them out, specifically for the weapon of your choosing, because there's just so many of them. Like I said, almost every single weapon got touched one way or another. They did touch the Kinsect. This is something that people have been asking. The extract colors are now a little bit more powerful. That I don't necessarily think that actually changes what people have been expecting for Insect Glaive, but some changes there. Heavy Bowgun got a lot of love as well. The only light Bowgun is the only one that I'm not necessarily seeing here, or Bow. They're the only two weapons that didn't get adjusted. Even Heavy Bowgun got a lot of adjustments as well. So, definitely check that out. They also mentioned that the colors flashing effects for different parts of the health bar had been made easier to tell whenever you are under bleeding status. So if you're bleeding and you can't necessarily quite tell, the blinking is going to be changing as well. They fixed an issue where curing the frenzy status by activating the skill Bloodlust with anti-Daodra, that would be the snake, would be ignore the size of our health bar gauge and restore more health than intended. So they're addressing some basic issues there. When it comes to buddy changes, and we know buddies are getting some love as well, they mentioned that some Palamute gear has had their values adjustments, and the cooldown for each tool has been slightly adjusted. When it comes to dual bladed chains, the elemental scaling has increased and the attack power has increased. Guarding Parasol stun value has slightly increased and exhaust value slightly increased. Steel Fangs and Strout's Core Fang has more attack. The large Shuriken elemental scaling slightly increased and status effect scaling slightly decreased. Palamute Silk Binder elemental scaling has been increased, attack power has been increased, and the status effect scaling slightly decreased. So the Silk Binder is the popular one that everyone uses. We're gonna have to see ultimately how it shakes out. What are the numbers telling us based on some of those changes? Palamutes also get multiple different types of adjustments, like whenever you go into combat, they will be kind of like moving to a different area. That kind of gets adjusted. They fixed an issue where Palamutes sometimes repeat the starting and stopping movement when the player moves around in an unsheathed state during combat. That's kind of just like some quality of life improvement, so they fixed that. If you want to use your Palamute for gathering, some things wouldn't necessarily show up as gatherable. Now they do. They fixed an issue where hitting an Apex Rathian with a Kitternator could flinch the monster, but it would not topple it. They addressed that. That's for the Palico, and a couple other more as well. When it comes to followers, follower attacks with the following weapon types have been increased: Great Sword, Long Sword, Sword and Shield, Dual Blades, Lance, Gun Lance, Switch Axe, Charge Blade, Insect Glaive, Light Bowgun, Heavy Bowgun, and Bow. So just about every single follower has now higher attack, regardless of the weapon that they use. They fixed an issue where item effects and some item followers could be used, but not being able to apply correctly. They fixed an issue with the follower gestures Acrobat and Acrobat 2 would not work perfectly. They fixed an issue with if your follower has fallen in battle, your second follower will not initiate Wyvern Riding in the moment as an innocent amounts of state. They fixed an issue with Utsushi would repeatedly perform switch skill swaps when using dual blades. Utsushi also would use an execute swap evade after performing switch skill swaps when using the heavy bowgun. So most changes we are seeing here are for Utsushi. Gallius also changes to some of the performance for Stormguard stance combos using the Great Sword. Fugen also sees the Spirit Helm Breaker and Spirit Gauge not necessarily recovering too well whenever he's using the Long Sword. They fix some quality of life improvements regarding combos with Luchika, Hinoa, Utsushi that they would be basically cancelled halfway through. Some other issues with Arlo, Fugen, and Utsushi where they stop moving depending on their distance to the monster when using the hammer. And they fixed an issue where checking the follower selection right screen would actually provide with an exclamation point, so I guess that wasn't necessarily supposed to happen. When it comes to monster adjustments and monster changes, I think this one sees probably the longest list of changes. They fixed an issue where situational voice lines would not play correctly after exhausted monster has been used in a big attack. They fixed an issue where Astalos left wing's talent sweep would unintentionally cause multiple hits. Some changes to the Rathian and Apex and Gold Rathian are being seen as well when it comes to Rathalos. Same thing, Apex and Silver Rathalos breath attacks are getting adjusted. Some changes with Espinas, Inflaming Espinas. Whenever they would wake up, they would have like an insta attack. That's also getting fixed. They fixed an attack where some of the visual effects for Rajang's new Destroyer tail attack also kind of like, gets adjusted whenever it goes into rage mode. They fixed an issue preventing the heavy bowgun users from deflecting Teostra's pounce attack with a counter shot. That's an interesting one that they addressed. They also fixed an occasional issue with Score and Magala would not instigate turf wars, but would just keep using regular attacks. So if you're like missing some of the Score and Magnamalos turf wars, you should be able to get those. Now, they fixed an issue with losing Nargacuga's Poison Spike Rain would become stronger after its tail has been severed. Interesting that they finally went ahead and addressed that. They fixed an occasional issue with Violet Mitsutsune's bubbles will remain on the screen without actually disappearing. And lastly, they fixed an issue preventing the turf war animation between Luna Garen and Garen Golem from playing correctly when it occurs after certain parts in the Citadel locale. Moving over to locales and environments, they mentioned that they fixed an issue where players would be sent back to the base camp after a fade out when they try to move to the combat area in the Yawning Abyss from the Forlorn Arena. And they fixed an issue where other players would be forcibly kicked from a session when harvesting afflicted materials at the small isolated island in the jungle. Remember that the island is a relatively hard place to reach if you don't necessarily know how to get there. They also mentioned when it comes to base and facilities that new augmentations have been added to the smithy, so the specs for randomization have been adjusted accordingly. This is something that we had been expected. Essentially, curious crafting for weapons is getting multiple choices for each and every single one of the weapons. You're going to get 2 extra tiers, and you're also going to be able to get a couple of different higher tier for the options already there. Like if you want more attack, if you want more affinity, if you want more resistance, whatever it might be. So, obviously new materials are needed and new levels had to be brought over. They added a feature where augmenting armor to the smithy converts the surplus points into items. This is one of the features that they talked about, which we went over. When performing multiple melding rebirths or melding reincarnations in succession at the marker's melding pod, the cursor position will now default to the next talisman after your selected one. Interested quality of life improvement, but no real big changes there. They fixed an issue where the Toadversary in the training area would have different stats depending on your quest for the players that's currently accepted. Interesting that they noticed that now that thing's been there pretty much since launch. They fixed an issue where it would take a long time for anything to be displaced when using this equipment box if we have a large number of talismans. I believe this one affected you if you have over 100 pages worth of talismans. This is something that I saw a couple of people report on. So this is why you always want to be using reincarnation. So you kind of want to be getting rid of the bad talismans, so you can just keep that page count to probably in the 30s or 40s and not necessarily run into this issue. But they finally went ahead and addressed it nonetheless. They fixed an issue where the Kinsect save loadout would be displayed in the preview when selecting layered armor loadouts, and the equipment sets moving forward into the list loadouts as well. The searching anomaly investigations to join the quest board cannot be chosen whenever you save the search criteria or not. This is one of those quality of life improvements people have been hoping to see. When searching anomaly investigations to join the quest board, the minimum level will now no longer be reset as well. So level adjustments through the quest board is something that people have been asking, and I'm glad to finally see them keeping that there. They also mentioned that new added fire herbs, floor urns, thunderbugs, snow herbs, and dragon berries have been added to the lineup in the trade goods at the Argosy. So new options are going to be available in the Argosy as well, and the increased number of those items for you to collect are going to be available there. They added more rare types, more armor jewels, and new melding solutions that can be exchanged at the Anomaly Research Lab. This is the Bahari shop, essentially, where you can trade in those little curious crafting coins. So you're going to be able to get more stuff there. They adjusted some of the unlock conditions that can be exchanged at the Anomaly Research Lab, and they fixed the design of the lamps at the canteen to match those of Komura Village. So of course, really important updates there. In the last batch of updates, when it comes to miscellaneous, they mentioned that they increased the number of research points you can earn from 2-star and 6-star anomaly monsters. They fixed an issue where anomaly quests would not yield the normal anomaly results points, so that's getting fixed as well. Your quest level will now increase faster when completing anomaly investigations. This is really good since the level cap is now 200, so of course, you earning more points means you level up faster. Increasing the number of anomaly research points you can earn from anomaly quests and anomaly investigations from level 1 to 120. So they basically want people to get to 120 faster, and then from then on, well, you're going to continue to grind normally. They fixed an issue where locked anomaly investigations would have their lock removed if you complete them after accepting anomaly investigations in the lobby and moving between bases. They fixed an issue where anomaly investigations with Apex Archros and Apex Rathian would yield unintended rewards. I still don't mention that if other Apexes are going to be added in. When joining an anomaly investigation via the join request, you'll now be able to see the current number of feints, which is something that on the right side of the screen, whenever you join a quest, you should be able to see there. When it comes to the equipment changes, they mentioned that an issue with layered weapons, missing Anjanash tree from the hunting horn has been adjusted. Shagaru Magala's tree lances also are getting some adjustments there. They fixed an issue for player character models who stick through some of the any capes. So of course, clipping has been an issue in this game for a while for some of the armor sets. They're adjusting that. When it comes to the menus, whenever the setting shadow sticker options in the action bar shortcut is used, the text will now be displayed at the top of the screen instead of at the bottom of it. They fixed an issue preventing the cursor from being moved onto the second page when selecting the new item pouch option in the radio menu. So little small adjustments there, but nothing necessarily major. And the last thing that I do want to mention is that they fixed an issue whenever you progress the guide would not show up to Master Rank 999, and they've addressed that as well. So like I said, plenty of other patch notes available here. I'm not going to necessarily go over them, just quite a hefty sum of adjustments here. Some of the weapon adjustments for the skills is going to be interesting. Followers are now getting boosted. Of course, buddies are also getting some adjustments as well. Obviously, we get plenty of brand new anomaly monsters to hunt, to 80 more levels of anomaly investigations for you to be able to grind, and level cap to 200, and of course 3 brand new monsters overall. So just plenty of stuff for you to be able to sink your teeth into for the next 2 months, foreseeable future, up until let's say early February, late January, whenever we get the next patch update, or maybe we get some hot fixes in a couple of weeks. If you're brand new to my channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Hit the bell to receive notifications when the videos go up, and as always, thank you so much for watching.